So you want to lose body fat, but you also want curves, you want shape. You do want muscle, but somewhere along the line, the industry has convinced you that you cannot have both. You either bulk and grow muscle, but also gain some body fat, or you diet, lose body fat, but you cannot build muscle whilst doing that. But what if I told you you can in fact lose body fat and build muscle at the same time? And it's probably not as hard as you think it is. Because yes, body recomposition is real, and if you do this properly, you can get leaner whilst also building a stronger and fuller looking physique. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking down exactly how body recomposition works, why most women accidentally sabotage it, and all the things that you need to focus on if you want to lose body fat and build muscle. So let's get into it. Welcome to the internet's least delicate fitness channel, where here we don't tone, no, we build meat, specifically in those booty cheeks. So if your dream physique looks something like it could survive a zombie apocalypse, or potentially hip thrust the weight of a small vehicle off the ground, then you've come to the right place. My name is Millie. I am an ex-amateur bodybuilder competing in bikini and wellness categories, ex-in-person personal trainer, and current online coach. So this channel is all about educating you and how to train hard to optimize your training so that you do build muscle, cut through all of the faff that you see online and get straight to the point. So whether you want fat loss or body recomposition, or enough lower body density to destroy every pair of jeans that you own, welcome. So first, let's clear something up. What is a body recomp? What is body recomposition? You might have already heard it, the term thrown around online, on TikTok, on Instagram, or whoever YouTuber. It's like, join my 8-week body recomp challenge. But what does that even mean? Body recomposition is what that means. So essentially, you lose body fat and you build muscle, and those ratios change. So you might even weigh the same, but you look a hell of a lot different because you have more muscle and less body fat. You look tighter, you look leaner, you look fuller, you've got muscle definition, a lot more sculpted, your waist gets smaller, your ass gets bigger, your shape changes. So it's not just fat loss. So in technical terms, your body does require energy, i.e. calories, i.e. food, to grow muscle. And fat loss requires a deficit, which we all know what that is. Less food. But most people will say you can't do those two things at once. But the body is far more complicated than that, and there are a hell of a lot more nuances in the mix, which means you can actually, more often than not, if you give your body enough resistance training, i.e. a really killer program, enough protein to preserve the muscle you do already have and recover and repair and grow, you nail your recovery and a small deficit, you can in fact recomp. Especially if you're new to training, you're coming back from an injury, or you've just been generally inconsistent with the gym. But this is the thing. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not in any of those categories, but I'm still not recomping. Like, I couldn't do that. Actually, you probably can. Most instances I see day in, day out, in the gym, online, are people that are not training consistently. Their training program is pants. They're not eating right. They're not eating enough protein. Even though they say, oh, I eat plenty of protein. 90 grams of protein is not plenty of protein. You can recomp. Most people can recomp if they got those things right. Why most women fail at this, most people fail at this, is they think that fat loss means just eating as little as possible, doing endless cardio, all of the HIIT classes twice a day. Been there, under recover, been there, overstress their body, been there. And then they wonder why when they diet, their glutes disappear. Well, it's probably because they were never actually built in the first place. They feel exhausted, metabolism starts to slow down, and then your physique looks flatter, weaker, rather than stronger and fuller and more muscular and toned. Because your body can't grow muscle when you are just in pure survival mode. If your calories are too low and your performance is suffering, which you could only really tell if your performance is suffering if you're tracking your performance in the first place, which most people are not doing, right? This is where you're going wrong. You're not tracking your lifts. You're going into the gym and doing this, that, and the other, not consistently, not recording anything, just getting on whichever machine is free at the time that you like. So the goal with body recomp, sorry, this is my first YouTube, so if this doesn't make sense when I upload it, forgive me, because this is really actually hard to record yourself. It's not like Instagram where it's like 30 seconds. This is hard, okay? And I'm new to this, just like you might be new to training properly. I'm new to YouTubing properly. So anyways, the goal isn't to lose body fat as quickly as possible. The goal is to get the best physique as possible. And those are two different things. So here are the 5 key things that you need to know when it comes to building fat and losing muscle in order to recomp. Number 1, train harder, not longer. Most of you think you're training hard, but you're just training junk volume. So you're doing more and you're doing more and you're doing more. I can't build muscle, I'll just do more. And it doesn't work like that. If you want body recomposition, training properly and hard is a non-negotiable. Not just random workouts that you feel like on the day. Not, oh, the leg press is free, I'm gonna get on that now because I like that and that's easy. I can just sit on it and I can do exactly the same thing that I did last Tuesday. No, not sweaty circuits, supersets, using 8 different bits of kit in the middle of the gym floor, not jumping around for an hour. You need progressive overload. You need a consistent program that will cause progressive overload. That means getting stronger over time. So more reps, more weight, more control, better execution, more consistent. Your body needs a reason to keep muscle and it needs even more of a reason to build it. Especially your glutes, by the way. This is why your training should revolve around compound lifts and training with intent. You need a proper structured training program that you can progress on every single week and do the same boring exercises every single week, even when you don't want to, because that will cause progressive overload. The more that you do something, the more muscle you're going to build to be able to do more of that thing, and then you're going to build more muscle, and then you're going to be able to do more of that thing. So it's being consistent, and that's not like, okay, I'll train tomorrow instead. No, it's sticking to, right, Mondays is when I do this session, Wednesdays is when I do this session, Fridays is when I do this session, Saturdays is when I do this session, depending on you. But you're being nice and consistent across the way so that your recovery is also consistent in between. If you keep adding to what you're already doing because you're not seeing the result, where do you go eventually? Burnout, that is where you go. Your body has no chance to recover from what you are doing, so it's never going to grow. You might grow a little bit at first, but long term, that is not the best solution to muscle growth. You actually need to do less. Eating enough protein is the second point. 90 grams of protein is not enough protein. I eat really healthy, I eat a lot of protein. That's what I see a lot. I eat really healthy, Millie. I do, I get my protein in. I have 2 eggs and avocado on toast for breakfast. That is bugger all protein, okay? Bugger all. That is not enough. Protein helps you build more muscle and maintain the muscle that you already have. It also really helps when you're dieting because it's more satiating, and that will improve your recovery, so you're more able to grow muscle. Most women massively overestimate it. So if you want to build that shape whilst losing body fat, you need to be eating enough of it. So how much is enough, right? That's probably what you're thinking. How much protein is enough, Millie? You say I'm not eating enough, but how much is enough? Well, there's a scale, right? So if you calculate don't calculate, weigh yourself in kilos. Weigh yourself in pounds and convert it to kilos if you're from America. Body weight in kilos, low end, times that by 1.6, and that will give you the amount in grams. And then top end of that, I'd say go to about 2.2. So if you are actually eating a good amount, 2.2 is going to be your top end of that. If you are already quite high in body fat to begin with, calculate that based on your goal weight. So if your goal weight is 60 kilos, use your 60 kilo and times that by 1.6 or somewhere in between. Doesn't have to be 1.6, it could be 1.8, it could be 1.9, it could be 2.1, whatever kind of fits around that range for you. Spread that across your day evenly. So start working it out. If you're having like 4 meals a day, spread that. So say if your goal in grams, so that's what it'll give you. If you times that 160 by 2, 120 grams of protein, and that's your target. That 120 grams of protein, you could spread that into 3 meals of 30 grams of protein throughout the day to keep you nice and regular. Also, what you can do is what I would recommend is having set meal time. So not leaving it really, really long throughout the day and then boom, eating friggin' 120 grams of protein at dinner, because that's going to be really hard for you to digest that all at once. So spread it out. So have your breakfast, have your lunch, have your early dinner, and then a later dinner. Whatever fits within your calorie intake and your protein intake. Spread that out. And don't just rely heavily on artificial protein sources like protein bars, protein shakes, protein yogurt, protein pancakes. All of these things labeled protein because half the time they have more fats and carbs in them than they do actually have protein in, and they're not a good source of protein. The quality of it is pants. So try and get your protein sources through actual food, and then if you do need a top up, use a good quality protein powder like a whey isolate, because that's going to be isolated in a good way, so it's more refined from your carbs and your fats, so it's a lot more protein than anything else in it. Stop doing excessive cardio. Cardio in itself is not actually that bad. When it comes to building muscle as well, it can actually be quite beneficial to have some cardio within your weekly plan. Doing some cardio is going to be really good, obviously, for your cardiovascular health. Therefore, you're not going to get as gassed out during your training sessions. You're going to be able to carry on, do a few more reps, lift a little bit more because you're not struggling to get any oxygen in. Too much cardio, not enough food is a really quick way of losing muscle really quick. Done it. You will look flat, you will look tired, and you will be overtrained, and that is not a great environment to hold on to muscle or build it. So you don't need 3-hour workouts. You don't need 4 HIIT classes a week. You don't need to do 20,000 steps a day to stay lean. Your priority should be strength training first, hypertrophy training first, building that muscle, getting strong as well. Strength and hypertrophy is equally as important as recovery should be nailed. Cardio should be a tool used to facilitate those, but not excessively. Your attempt at building muscle should never be sacrificed by trying to burn more calories. 4. Small calorie deficit, not a really big one. The bigger the deficit, the harder it becomes to build muscle, because it just is. A small deficit, and this is where a lot of people mess up, right? Going to really extremely low calories. You will not build muscle if your calories are too low, because you will not have sufficient energy to train hard in the gym, and you need that. You just need a small, somewhat sustainable, and I say somewhat sustainable because a diet is not sustainable. It should be sustainable for a brief period of time and then you finish the diet. So the diet should be enough for you to lose body fat and maintain your training performance. And from my experience with competing, I felt that I actually looked better when the diet was longer, not as savage, and my training performance never dipped because I was super consistent with it, and my recovery was more on point than ever. And number 5, which is really important, is actually just being patient, because that's what happens when you recomp. It's not just a crash diet where you lose a load of body fat and then you've got nothing underneath to give you that shape that you want because no muscle's been built over that time. Or previously with your training before and you crash dieted, maybe you weren't training properly enough in the first place, that you've actually not really built any muscle. So when you do that crash diet, what have you got to show for it? Nothing. So you do have to be patient and you do have to be prepared for that delayed gratification, because it's not just going to happen like week on week. Where people go wrong is they're so focused on that scale weight and not the whole picture. Like with a body recomp, you're not going to always just see the scales drop. That's not the point. You lose the body fat and you're growing the muscle and your body is changing. Sometimes there isn't that much difference on the scale, but you're thinking, oh, the scale's not moving, progress is not happening, which is absolutely not the case. And when people see that, They then take matters into their own hands. They cut their calories even more. Their training performance goes in the bin. So they're not maintaining any muscle mass. Their training performance is weak. So they're actually losing muscle in the process. And who wants that? No one. Not when you've worked so hard to build it in the first place. So stop focusing on the scale weight when you're going through a body recomposition phase, because what's more important is actually not what's on the scales, how you're feeling. Is your waist slimmer? Are your glutes still full? Is your hip measurement still the same? Are your clothes fitting better? Because clothes are not designed for your body anymore, which is good, but not good. I don't know. Anyways, your physique is changing, which is what you want, because nobody knows what's on that scale but you, and you're letting that dictate how you feel about yourself. If I said you can look like that, which is your dream body, and it weighs 5 kilos heavier than your dream weight, you would pick that, wouldn't you? Because no one's going to know other than you that you're 5 kilos heavier there. No one. Remember, scale weight is only one form of progress. It's not the whole picture. Photos, measurements, strength increases or strength maintains throughout a deficit, and how your body looks is the most important thing to you. Body looking good is not everything, obviously. Caveat that. But that's what you want to do. That's why you're here. You want to look like you actually train. So yeah, if you want to look good, great. Do you know what? There's nothing wrong with saying, I want to look better. I think it's been demonized a little bit. How dare you want to look better? How dare you? The world is in a place where you can't admit you want to look better, because there's nothing wrong with you. So who does this work best for? Well, obviously I mentioned that beginners or people who are coming back into training after injury or a period of time off. Mostly it's people that have never actually trained properly to begin with. They've been going to the gym, they've been doing more, but like I said before, more is not better, more is just more. So when you really dial your training in and you're consistent with it and you're consistent with your food, yes, you are going to recomp. Can advanced lifters do it? Not so much. That is the downside. That is the only downside of having more muscle and less body fat, is when you try and grow, you really can't do that in a deficit. If you're nailing your training for years, being super consistent with your nutrition and your training and your recovery, all of the above, it's really hard for you to build muscle years down the line. You in a deficit, you do need to separate the two and prioritize what it is, and ultimately suck up the fact that, yeah, you might actually have to accrue some body fat in order to build muscle. But for the majority of people watching this, it is entirely possible, because come on, are you really training consistently? If you said to yourself deep down, am I doing too much? Am I really eating enough protein? What's my recovery like? Chances are you're going to say, they're not that great. So you absolutely can recomp. So with my first YouTube attempting this format, I hope you've enjoyed it. But if you can take one thing out of this whole video, however long it ends up being, I would love to say to you, stop chasing smaller and start chasing stronger. Because when you focus more on building muscle, fueling your body properly, training with intent, recovering well, and being patient, fat loss becomes a side effect, and muscle growth also does. And your physique will change in a completely different way. If this video did actually help you and it made some sense, then don't be shy. Like, can you like it for me and subscribe to me if you're not already? And maybe hit the notifications button so you'll be notified when I drop a better video next time, because we've all got to start somewhere, haven't we? And if you want to learn more about how I help women like you build muscle and get lean, check out some of the links that I've put in the description below. They're free because I'm nice like that. And I'll see you in the next one.